For 3 long months, Ozzy Osbourne lived in what he called absolute diabolical agony. Friends, family, and fans all feared the worst, and even Ozzy himself admitted that in those dark moments, death might have felt like a mercy. Then, on the morning of July 22, 2025, the unthinkable happened. The Prince of Darkness, the legendary founder of Black Sabbath, was gone. At 76 years old, his passing didn't just mark the end of an era, it left a gaping hole in the heart of rock and roll, and a silence that the music world may never truly fill. The sudden death of the Prince of Darkness didn't just shock his millions of fans, it sent shockwaves through the entire music world. But what made Ozzy Osbourne's passing truly unforgettable wasn't simply his legendary status. It was the chilling, soul-bearing revelations he made in his final moments. In a voice heavy with pain and truth, Ozzy broke his silence on secrets he had carried for decades, confessions of mistakes, regrets, and dark battles the world never knew he fought. His last words were not just a goodbye, they were a raw, unfiltered confession that peeled back the layers of the man behind the myth. For the first time, Ozzy allowed the world to glimpse the shadows that haunted him, the private struggles, the personal demons, and the moments he wished he could change. Could these final revelations rewrite everything we thought we knew about his life, his career, and the darkness he endured? In this video, we uncover the shocking truths Ozzy Osbourne left behind in the moments before his death. On July 22, 2025, the world was stunned by the heartbreaking news: Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, was gone. He passed away peacefully at his Los Angeles home after a relentless battle with Parkinson's disease and the crushing toll of age-related illnesses. Since his diagnosis in 2019, Ozzy had endured years of excruciating pain, muscle weakness, and the slow loss of mobility. Yet, against all odds, he refused to fade quietly. He fought every single day to keep creating, keep performing, and keep giving his fans the music and energy they loved. His death didn't just shake the rock community, it struck a deep chord with millions across the globe who saw in Ozzy a warrior's spirit and an undying love for life. The shock was felt in every corner of the music world. Fellow rock icons, industry veterans, and lifelong fans poured out their grief and respect. Social media lit up with stories, memories of wild concert nights, backstage laughter, and quiet moments of kindness that revealed the man behind the heavy metal legend. To the public, Ozzy was a force of chaos and charisma, but to those close to him, he was warm-hearted, loyal, and deeply human. His journey was one of glory and grit, triumphs and tragedies, and through it all, he faced challenges most could never imagine. And now, in the wake of his passing, one question lingers: what truths did Ozzy carry with him to the very end? His health declined dramatically in his last years. Although it wasn't the main reason for his passing, Parkinson's disease had a significant impact on his mobility and performance. During several performances, Ozzy had to sit on a chair in order to continue performing for his audience because every step he took got more difficult. His tenacity in battling the illness did not, however, lessen his love and zeal for music. He performed a farewell show in Birmingham, the birthplace of Black Sabbath, in 2025. It was an important occasion that not only marked a musical milestone but also a critical turning point in his life. Ozzy's resolve to perform in spite of his poor condition demonstrated his unwavering devotion to his followers. In addition to celebrating Black Sabbath's comeback, the concert served as a farewell to Ozzy's international fan base. Parkinson's disease forced him to sit, but he nevertheless expressed his passion for music and genuine feelings to every audience member. All those who were present would never forget that moment. Ozzy Osbourne left a statement in his last hours that caused everyone to pause and think. Before he passed away, Ozzy said something very touching to his family, particularly his wife, Sharon Osbourne. He had counseled his loved ones to let him die in peace and had forgiven those who had wronged him in the past. "Leave me alone. Don't be depressed. I need to get some rest," were the last words he spoke to his family. Not only were these words of goodbye, but they also conveyed a message of acceptance, forgiving, and moving on from the past. Ozzy's life was full with chaos and disruption. His early years were characterized by drink, drugs, and startling on-stage conduct. He committed numerous errors that seriously harmed everyone in his vicinity, particularly his family. But in his last moments, Ozzy acknowledged his own past transgressions in addition to talking about forgiving those who had wronged him. He expressed regret for the things he had done as a child and admitted his shortcomings. He wants to share this with his followers and loved ones as part of his message. In addition to saying goodbye, Ozzy offered guidance for those who were left. Pardon both yourself and other people. Keep your life free from hatred. In addition to having meaning for his family, these statements sent a strong message to all of us. That the secret to leading a happy and tranquil life is to forgive and let go of the past. There is no denying that Ozzy Osbourne experienced a lot of highs and lows throughout his life. In addition to being in the spotlight as a rock star, Ozzy also had to deal with controversies and significant upheavals. His formative years were difficult, particularly in the 1970s. Because of his defiant behavior on stage, he suffered from addiction, strained relationships, and public censure. He was accused of being a Satanist after his notorious on-stage act of biting the head off a bat caused confusion. Nonetheless, Ozzy consistently insisted that it was merely a show element and did not represent his actual character. Life wasn't always easy for Ozzy. In addition to his struggles with drugs and alcohol, he also had health and mental health problems during his prime years in the music business. In 1979, Black Sabbath sacked him because of his addiction issues. Later on, though, he recovered and had a prosperous solo career. His parting words reveal a person who had made a lot of mistakes but knew how to get back up and confront his history. In his last years, Ozzy achieved peace through self-awareness of his transgressions and forgiveness. Ozzy Osbourne's life events. Not every moment of Ozzy Osbourne's life was characterized by success and fame. Ozzy was born into a low-income household in Birmingham, England, on December 3, 1948, and had to overcome many obstacles at a young age. His recollections of his early years are associated with hardships, domestic abuse, and poverty. Ozzy lived in a tense, unstable atmosphere devoid of affection, and his parents were unhappy. Ozzy's rebellious nature and inferiority complex were shaped by this setting. He felt unwanted and uncared for by his parents. Ozzy started his musical adventure by playing music, which took up a lot of his time instead of studying. However, Ozzy was only able to practice in his free time and borrow instruments because of financial limitations. These early years shaped Ozzy's rebellious personality and lack of self-assurance, which made him more susceptible to the negative influences of society, especially alcohol and narcotics. His early years were characterized by both material and mental adversity, particularly after moving out and living alone. Ozzy had no idea what he would do or where he was heading. Furthermore, he lacked a mentor to help him grow into a responsible adult. However, despite the many obstacles in his way, Ozzy gradually made his way into the music industry as a result of his struggles. When Ozzy Osbourne joined Black Sabbath in the late 1960s, his life took a significant change. Ozzy co-founded a rock music legend with Bill Ward, Tony Iommi, and Geezer Butler. Ozzy Osbourne's unique voice became a vital component of Black Sabbath's popularity, which is considered to be one of the first heavy metal bands. But despite Black Sabbath's enormous popularity in the 1970s because to classic albums like Black Sabbath Ozzy and Paranoid Master of Reality, the band's existence was not straightforward. Ozzy was caught in a downward cycle of drugs and alcohol, while the other members grew up and led healthy lives. Due to his addiction, Ozzy lost control over his conduct and performance at work, which had a very negative effect on his mental and physical health. After a protracted time of dealing with personal issues, Ozzy's unmanageable addiction led to his termination from Black Sabbath in 1979. In addition to being a major shock to Ozzy, this was a pivotal moment in his career. Nevertheless, Ozzy persisted. Following his departure from the band, he began a prosperous solo career that was capped off by the release of the album Blizzard of Oz in 1980, which included the hit song Crazy Train, which is among the most recognizable in rock history. Throughout his solo career, Ozzy Osbourne achieved a number of significant musical and personal triumphs. Diary of a Mad Man, 1981, The Ultimate Sin, 1986, and No More Tears, 1991, are among the seminal albums that Ozzy has recorded. Ozzy established a strong musical empire that lasted for generations with the help of hits like Mama I'm Coming Home, No More Tears, and Bark at the Moon. Ozzy's road to rehabilitation was not simple, though. He continued to suffer with addiction and internal issues. Ozzy received a lot of support from his family, particularly his wife Sharon Osbourne, during his several periods of rehabilitation. Sharon was crucial in helping Ozzy persevere and get through the most trying periods of his life, particularly when it came to his addiction and mental health problems. Ozzy's love of music remained unabated despite his years of struggling with drugs, alcohol, and the highs and lows of his career. Instead, they strengthened his resolve to continue in his line of work. Ozzy experienced severe health issues in his last years. His mobility and communication were greatly impacted by Parkinson's disease, a degenerative neurological disorder. Ozzy persisted in writing and performing in spite of excruciating pain and fatigue. Even though viewers occasionally saw a weak Australian, his tenacity and will won him respect from everyone who followed his path. Ozzy also benefited greatly from Sharon Osbourne's devotion and dedication in raising him during those trying times. In addition to being his spouse, Sharon was a loyal companion who supported him throughout his entire life. From his battles with addiction to his subsequent health issues, she was the one that got Ozzy through his darkest moments. Ozzy Osbourne went from being a poor, insecure boy from a dysfunctional household to becoming a legendary figure in music. His tale is one of unrelenting adversity, triumphing over adversity, recuperation, and development. Nevertheless, even after his triumph, Ozzy never forgot the lessons he had learned in the past. He became a strong, resilient, and inspirational person as a result of the difficulties he encountered, not just in music but also in life. Ozzy's unwavering perseverance and determination were evident in every action he did, whether on stage or in daily life. Even though he had made mistakes and failed in the past, Ozzy Osbourne eventually achieved peace for his loved ones as well as for himself, revealing the truth about Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne developed a reputation as the Prince of Darkness during the course of his career. In addition to being a nickname, this was how the general public recognized him. Ozzy, who joined Black Sabbath early on, rose to prominence in heavy metal music not only for his songs but also for his startling on-stage stunts. He was referred to as the Prince of Evil and even a Satanist by the public and media because of his actions, which included biting the head off a bat and even chewing the skull of a pigeon on stage. The reality behind this picture, however, is very different. Ozzy consistently stressed in interviews and appearances that these startling behaviors were only a part of his act, a public image-building tactic, and did not represent his own character. In order to attract attention and emulate Black Sabbath's audacious musical style, he included the notorious bat incident, which he later bitterly regretted, into his defiant performance display. But following that incident, Ozzy was the target of harsh criticism and misinterpretations, with many people thinking he actually held strange or even Satanist views. Ozzy maintained her position that it was simply show business in spite of harsh criticism and misunderstandings. Despite the public's perception of him as a Prince of Darkness, he was actually a man who loved his family unconditionally. Ozzy Osbourne had a great heart, was a caring father to his kids, and was a loyal husband to Sharon Osbourne. He was unable to avoid the show business, and all of those startling actions were really ways to get attention. As a result, in the early years of his career, Ozzy was simply given the Prince of Darkness label. Family and friends who knew him well recognized that Ozzy did not have the sinister intentions that others had presumed. Ozzy Osbourne frequently had to contend with contentious opinions regarding his personal life outside of the realm of music. In addition to his stage persona, his lifestyle, which was replete with shocking deeds and inconsistencies with social conventions, earned him the moniker, Prince of Darkness. Nevertheless, Ozzy consistently maintained that it was all overblown and that he never followed such a gloomy outlook on life, even though he was often chastised for his behavior. Ozzy often denied claims that he was a Satanist or defied social norms during his tumultuous years, which included both his tenure in Black Sabbath and his chaotic personal life. Ozzy did not think twice about joining the rock music movement in the 1970s, when it was characterized by a life of turmoil on stage and aggressive rebellion. But he never lost sight of the value of sacrifice, love, and family. In contrast to the perception that the public and media had created of him, Ozzy was not a dark character. Even if he occasionally presented a rebellious, audacious image during interviews or public gatherings, Ozzy consistently reaffirmed his peace-loving and family-centered nature. He overcame many obstacles and maintained his music career for decades thanks to this philosophy of life. Ozzy Osbourne's close ties to his family, especially his wife Sharon Osbourne, are one of his lesser-known traits. In a world full of difficulties, Ozzy and Sharon's relationship serves as a metaphor for enduring love. In addition to being his spouse and life partner, Sharon served as his manager and guardian, keeping him safe from life's temptations and gloom. The reality TV program The Osbourne revealed the story of Sharon's sacrifice, allowing viewers to see the normal moments of Ozzy's family life, a far cry from the Prince of Darkness character he possessed. From public events to work-related controversies and drug problems, their partnership had been put to the test on numerous occasions. However, Ozzy overcame everything thanks to Sharon's love and determination. Sharon was there for him during the worst of times, supporting and caring for him. Additionally, it was Sharon who supported Ozzy during the agonizing stages of his Parkinson's illness. Additionally, Ozzy made numerous references to the significance of Sharon in his life and work in his last hours. For an Ozzy, Sharon was the center of his existence, and he could not function without her. One of the most significant elements in Ozzy's existence was family love. Without the help of his loved ones, Ozzy never gave in to temptation, even if his music career was filled with setbacks and difficulties. Even though he experienced mental breakdowns and loneliness, his family always loved and cared for him. For this reason, Ozzy was able to maintain his fortitude and meet every obstacle head-on because to his relationships with Sharon, his kids, and close friends. The legacy of a legend in music. Rock star Ozzy Osbourne was more than that. He represented a certain style of music. Someone who transformed heavy metal and made a lasting impact on the music business. He contributed to the creation of iconic songs that ushered in a new era of rock music after joining Black Sabbath. But Ozzy's influence goes well beyond Black Sabbath. In addition to being Black Sabbath's lead singer, his successful solo albums and independent career demonstrated that he was a well-known performer both inside and outside of the music industry. Throughout his solo career as well as with Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne is credited with helping to pioneer heavy metal. Ozzy sparked a new wave of rock music with albums like Diary of a Madman, 1981, and Blizzard of Oz, 1980. One of the most memorable tunes in music history and one of the most recognizable rock songs is Crazy Train from Blizzard of Oz. It is a mainstay of any rock concert in addition to being a significant anthem in the rock world. The development of heavy metal, a genre that has thrived since the 1970s, was also facilitated by Black Sabbath songs like Iron Man, Paranoid, and War Pigs. In addition to dominating the stage, Ozzy served as an inspiration to other up-and-coming performers. Ozzy served as an inspiration to generations of rock and metal bands. Well-known musicians like Metallica, Slayer and Megadeth have admitted that Black Sabbath, and especially Australian musicians, had a significant impact on their musical styles. He still has a big impact on modern music culture, as evidenced by the fact that modern musicians like Justin Bieber and Post Malone have asked Australians to work with them on music projects. Ozzy showed that music was an essential part of his life and that he would never give up on his passion, even as he faced many physical challenges in his later years. One of the biggest and most significant events in rock and metal history is Ozzfest, an Australian music festival that was established in 1996. This festival served as a vital venue for up-and-coming artists to get recognition and attract fans in addition to being a music event. Many metal bands, notably Slipknot and System of a Down, Disturbed, Korn, were able to get their start thanks to Ozzfest. In addition to assisting Ozzy in preserving his standing in the music industry, Ozzfest validated him as a constant innovator who never stops trying to share his passion for music with new audiences. In addition to creating a music festival, Ozzy was a key force in the music industry, organizing important events and projects. Numerous musicians became legendary in the metal music industry thanks to his inventiveness and ability to find up-and-coming talent. As a haven for musicians willing to push the limits of music, Ozzfest came to represent rebellious music culture. Through the reality TV program The Ozzy Osbourne made important contributions to popular culture in addition to his popularity as a musician. In addition to providing Ozzy's fans with entertainment, this presentation altered the public's opinion of celebrities. In contrast to his defiant, rule-breaking stage persona, audiences witnessed a different side of Ozzy on the Osbournes. He was a devoted father, a loving husband, and occasionally just a regular guy in the family. The public's perception of Ozzy as the Prince of Darkness was somewhat dispelled by this program, leaving behind a more genuine cultural heritage. The public first witnessed a more friendly and compassionate side of Ozzy through the Osbournes, despite the fact that he has always been linked to rebellion and violating the rules in music. In addition to being a legendary figure in music, he also represented tenacity, familial love, and thankfulness for everyone who had stood by him along his difficult path. It is impossible to dispute the legacy that Ozzy Osbourne leaves behind. He is a living legend who served as an inspiration to countless up-and-coming musicians and die-hard rock and metal fans. From classic tunes to spectacular performances from his solo career to his initiatives to support up-and-coming musicians, Ozzy has had a significant influence on both music and world culture. Ozzy Osbourne will always be remembered as a trailblazer in the history of music and an enduring representation of the rock genre for all of his accomplishments and efforts. Insights from Ozzy Osbourne's life. Ozzy Osbourne's life is a tale of perseverance. Ozzy changed from being a man known for scandalous behavior and addiction to becoming a beloved and respected music icon. One thing is evident from the difficulties he encountered, including his termination from Black Sabbath and subsequent major health problems. A strong resolve and perseverance are invincible. When considering Ozzy's recovery journey, it is impossible to ignore the moments when he conquered his addiction crisis. After a protracted and agonizing struggle, he discovered sobriety and led a stronger life with the support of his family, particularly his wife, Sharon Ozzy. He battled his inner demons relentlessly, conquering seemingly insurmountable obstacles one step at a time. Ozzy demonstrated that nothing could ever take away his love and commitment to music by persevering through his battle with Parkinson's disease and continuing to compose and perform, particularly in his latter years. Ozzy learned a lot about patience, tenacity, and the value of family support from his battles with addiction. Ozzy discovered the strength to overcome failure by resisting temptation. In addition to being a tale of musical achievement, his life serves as a live example of perseverance, even in the face of adversity, and a lesson in the strength of recovery. Ozzy Osbourne always believed that his family was the one thing that kept him positive and prevented him from becoming depressed over the difficulties in his work. Nobody can dispute how important his wife, Sharon Osbourne, was in getting him through the challenging years. The affection tale among Ozzy and Sharon is a testament to sturdy family bonds, even in the face of numerous storms. Sharon became now not simplest a wife however also a supervisor life associate and the person that stored Ozzy from the traps of drugs, alcohol, and self-destruction. It was Sharon's persistence and love that allowed Ozzy to maintain his career and overcome some of the darkest times in his lifestyles. The years they spent together overcoming crises and elevating their own family grew to become Ozzy into a man who cherished love and care more than ever. Family love helped Ozzy locate peace in his soul as he confronted existence's storms. Ozzy's very last message earlier than his death turned into proof of the deep love he had for Sharon and their children. He did not need his family to undergo the unhappiness of his passing. Nor did he need to go away at the back of any lingering pain from the beyond. He had forgiven folks that had hurt him and requested his family to permit him cross in peace without hatred. One of the greatest instructions Ozzy Osbourne leaves for the arena is the strength of forgiveness and the capacity to just accept the past. His life turned into marked via errors from his bad painful teenagers to self-damaging acts at some stage in the height of his profession. But in preference to dwelling with remorse, Ozzy chose to face his mistakes and learn to forgive himself. In his very last moments, Ozzy no longer simply forgave those who had hurt him, however additionally forgave himself. He did no longer stay within the beyond, nor permit pain and remorse take over his thoughts. Instead, he observed peace with himself and his existence. His message is a clean name to forgive mistakes and face the beyond so that it will stay peacefully inside the gift. Ozzy knew that if he did no longer forgive himself and others, he may want to by no means discover peace in his soul. This is a profound message he wanted to send to his cherished ones and fanatics international. Forgiveness is not about forgetting mistakes. It's far about releasing ourselves from resentment and struggling. Ozzy Osbourne's very last message was a reminder of the importance of own family love and forgiveness. He went via many hardships, but it turned into family love and the electricity of restoration that made him a more potent man. His lifestyles is evidence that not anything is not possible if we've got the electricity to stand and conquer every project. Ozzy Osbourne's legacy isn't always simplest in his song and career achievements, but also within the useful classes he left for humanity about patience, love, and forgiveness. Although he has passed, the messages he left behind will hold to live on, inspiring each person in this hard adventure of lifestyles. So we have walked through an emotional adventure within the life of Ozzy Osbourne, a person recognized no longer best as a music legend, however additionally as an image of resilience, family love and the power of forgiveness. His very last message become not just a farewell, however a powerful reminder that lifestyles is clearly really worth residing when we learn how to allow go of the beyond, forgive and love. Ozzy Osbourne lived a life complete of struggles, however additionally full of meaning. And despite the fact that he has handed his musical legacy and the lessons from his life will constantly stay on in our hearts. If you discovered this video meaningful, don't forget to depart a like and comment below about what you suspect of Ozzy and the instructions he left in the back of. And take into account to enroll in the channel so you may not pass over the following films. Thank you for watching and notice you inside the subsequent.